Week 1 is finally here, and the Buffalo Bills are stepping into the spotlight with a massive showdown against the Baltimore Ravens. It's not just another opener. This is a tone setter, a statement opportunity, and the last time the Bills will kick off a season at the old Highmark Stadium. Sunday night, under the lights, national audience, energy off the charts. The stakes? Huge. The atmosphere? Electric. And the opponent? One of the very best in the AFC. Now, let's be real. The Ravens aren't just any team. They finished last season with dos Vitórias and cinco derrotas, clinched the AFC North, and made it to the postseason with swagger. John Harbaugh's squad is as seasoned as it gets. Harbaugh's been running the show for 18 anos, with a Super Bowl ring and a reputation for building physically dominant, well-coached teams. But here's where things get interesting. Despite their regular season success, the Ravens have hit some serious postseason walls lately. Since 2018, they're just Tres Vitórias and 6 derrotas in the playoffs. Contrast that with the Bills, who, while still seeking that elusive Super Bowl run, have vencido pelo menos um jogo de playoff em cada temporada desde 2020. Only one other team in the league can say that. You guessed it, Kansas City. And that's the thing, right? Kansas City is the roadblock for everyone. But for Baltimore, the Bills have become their own kind of obstacle. Buffalo has beaten the Ravens in tres dos últimos cuatro encontros, including that AFC divisional showdown that sent Lamar Jackson home empty-handed. Sean McDermott's defensive schemes have managed to frustrate Lamar in ways few other teams have. But now this is a new season, new rosters, new narratives, same intensity. Let's start with the man under center for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, 28 years old, former MVP, one of the most electrifying athletes the league has ever seen. And last season, he was on a mission. He completed 60% de sus passes, tossed 40 touchdowns, only 4 intercepticos, and posted a ridiculous passer rating to 119.6. He was the MVP runner-up, but when you dig deeper into the analytics, he was elite across the board. Top-ranked in EPA, poor dropback, top 5 in just about every efficiency category, whether under pressure, out-of-play action, with quick throws, deep throws, it didn't matter. Lamar delivered, but there's a wrinkle in all this. One specific area where he dips, and it's one that aligns with Buffalo's defensive identity. When Lamar faces a presseo com cinco jogadores y cobertura man-to-man atrás, his numbers drop drastically. He ranks 23rd in EPA per dropback against that specific look. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly the kind of defense Buffalo has been building all offseason. Between the addition of Ryan Nielsen to the staff, the training camp adjustments, and the evolution of their defensive personnel, the Bills are trending hard toward a 5-man pressure, man coverage system. It's not just talk, it's what we saw all preseason. They're leaning into it. Now, will that new-look Bills defense be fully formed in Week 1? Maybe not. They're missing some key pieces, like Maxwell Harris, the rookie first-round corner, and Michael Hoy, a crucial edge rusher. But even without them, the philosophy is in place. The goal is clear. Get Lamar uncomfortable, take away his first read, and force him to make tight window throws under pressure. He can make those throws, but you want to make him earn every yard. And speaking of pressure, let's talk about the trenches. Baltimore's offensive line is mostly intact from last season, but they've got one glaring question mark. Left guard. Andrew Voorhees, Settimarated to 2023, is stepping into a starting role with just a little over 200 career snaps. That's a potential weak link, especially against a Bills interior line that's built for quickness and disruption. Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, this is their chance to take over. The right guard, Daniel Falale, is a mountain of a man at 310 pounds, but his agility is limited. Against Buffalo's twitchy tackles, that's another mismatch the Bills can exploit. On the outside, it's going to be a war. Ronnie Stanley is still a top-tier left tackle, and Roger Rosengarten on the right has proven solid. But the edge matchups are intriguing. Greg Rousseau and Leonard Floyd will have opportunities, and with Baltimore's emphasis on deep drops and long-developing play action, this could be where Buffalo generates game-changing pressure. But the Ravens don't just live and die by Lamar's arm. Enter Derrick Henry, the new workhorse in the backfield. Yes, that Derrick Henry. Sees pays y dois, duzentos y cincuenta pounds, runs like a locomotive, and still playing an elite level. Pair him with Lamar in a read option heavy offense, and the stress on defenses becomes overwhelming. Buffalo's job? Don't give up freebies. Make Henry break tackles. Make Lamar juke 3 defenders. Force them to be special. Because if you hand them easy gaps, you're already beat. And what about those weapons? Baltimore's passing attack has leveled up. Zay Flowers is the real deal. Explosive, shifty, dangerous after the catch. Rashad Bateman is healthy and polished. They added DeAndre Hopkins, who, even past his prime, still boasts some of the best ball skills in the league. Then there's Mark Andrews, a mismatched nightmare at tight end, looking for redemption after a rough playoff loss to the Bills. Add in the speed of Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, and it's a track meet. But there's a catch. Baltimore might be without Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard, 2 crucial pieces for their heavy personnel sets. That limits their ability to bully you with formations and gaps. And that's good news for Buffalo. So how do the Bills stop all this? It starts with structure and discipline. Sean McDermott's crew has to play tight. Gap integrity. Stay in phase. Limit explosive plays. And then, in the big moments, 3rd down and red zone, they have to win. The Ravens were elite in both last year. Top 3 on 3rd down. 74% touchdown rate in the red zone. Meanwhile, the Bills' defense ranked 29 on 3rd down and just average in the red zone. That has to change now. Home field matters here. Highmark's going to be rocking. Crowd noise, emotion, primetime vibes that can create chaos for a Baltimore offense that, for all its efficiency, can still be vulnerable to procedural issues and momentum swings. Bills Mafia needs to show up and be the extra defender. There's a lot more to get into: the Ravens defense, what Josh Allen needs to do, how the Bills offense can find their rhythm. But if Buffalo wants to open the season with a win, it starts with Lamar and Derrick Henry. You don't shut them down. You slow them down. You frustrate them. You throw off the timing. You force them to be great on every snap. If they do that and still beat you, you tip your cap. But if it's easy, that's on you. If the Buffalo Bills are going to come out of Week 1 with a win, it won't be enough just to slow down Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Josh Allen and this offense have to make their mark too. And let's not sugarcoat it. The Ravens' defense isn't some middle-of-the-pack unit you can push around. They finished last season ranked in the top 10 in almost every advanced metric that matters, and they've added more firepower to a group that already had elite pieces. This isn't a soft launch for Buffalo. It's a heavyweight fight, and Allen has to come out throwing with purpose, but also with patience. Because if there's one thing that's been a theme in his Week 1 history, it's volatility. In 6 season openers, he's been lights out in half of them and completely off the rails in the others. He said it himself. He needs to trust the flow of the game. Take what's there and stop trying to be the MVP on every snap. That self-awareness matters, especially against a defense like this. The Ravens have some new faces in the secondary, and that's where the Bills need to attack. This is not a back 7 with tons of reps together. You've got a rookie safety in Malachi Starks making his NFL debut. You've got Nate Wiggins, a young, long-limbed corner with all the tools but limited pro experience. You got a rotation at the other outside corner spot between Jair Alexander and Chidobe Awuzie, 2 veterans with injury histories trying to settle into a new system. Even Trenton Simpson, who's expected to start at linebacker, was benched last year for struggling in coverage. That's a lot of talent, but it's also a lot of unknowns. Ken Dorsey's job as offensive coordinator is to identify those mismatches and exploit them, not force the ball into risky situations. If Alexander doesn't play, or if Simpson looks overwhelmed early, you have to keep going back to that well until Baltimore adjusts. And that's where Josh Allen's maturity needs to shine. Pick your spots. Be the scalpel, not the sledgehammer. That's what makes this Bills offense dangerous when it's locked in. It's not just the highlight reel throws. It's the ability to read the game script and apply pressure where it hurts. And speaking of pressure points, look no further than the running backs and tight ends. Last year, Baltimore allowed the most passing yards to running backs and were bottom 3 against tight ends. That's not a coincidence. Their scheme forces linebackers and safeties into one-on-one coverage, and with guys like James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson, the Bills can create matchups that test Baltimore's discipline. Get Cook isolated against Simpson in space, and it's a mismatch. Hit Dalton Kincaid up the seam with Hamilton late to rotate. That's 6 points. These aren't gimmicks. These are calculated jabs that soften up a defense and open the door for the knockout blows later on. Now, this doesn't mean Buffalo should avoid the deep shots. Quite the opposite. The Ravens' secondary is loaded with long athletes and ball hawks. But again, the lack of chemistry could be their undoing. When defenders haven't played together much, miscommunications happen. Late rotations, blown coverages, wide open zones that Josh Allen can expose if he's patient and deliberate with his reads. We've seen Allen force throws early in games, try to test his arm instead of the defense. That can't happen here. Let the play design do the work. Trust your weapons. And if it's not there, dump it off. Move the chains. Live to fight the next play. This is also a massive test for the Bills' offensive line. Baltimore brings pressure in creative ways. Their front seven is deep, physical, and built to disguise intent. Justin Matabike is a game wrecker up front. Travis Jones is coming into his own as a true nose tackle. Odafe Owa has steadily improved each season. And Kyle Van Noy, somehow still wrecking shop at Trenta e Quattro Anos, has been a problem specifically for Spencer Brown in the past. There's no hiding from these matchups. Brown needs to have one of his best games. Deion Dawkins needs to be sharp. The interior trio has to stay firm against late stunts and interior pressures. If Baltimore is able to collapse the pocket consistently, Josh Allen's decision-making will be put under fire, and that's when the mistakes creep in. But there's a flip side here. If the offensive line can hold up, the Ravens have shown vulnerability when quarterbacks extend plays and force their DBs to cover longer than they want to. That's where Allen can shine. When the initial read is covered and he rolls to his right, extending the play, eyes downfield. That's where the chaos starts for Baltimore. This is a defense that thrives on structure, on keeping you between the numbers. When it breaks down, they're beatable. Josh Allen doesn't need to run wild like it's 2020, but if he can buy time and stay calm, big plays will be there. And then there's the chess match on third down and in the red zone. Last season, the Bills were one of the worst third down defenses, and the Ravens were one of the best third down offenses. Flip that to the offense, and it's more of the same. Baltimore was the #1 red zone team last year. The Bills' defense, middle of the pack. You want to beat a team like this? You have to win situational football. 3rd and 4, red zone possession, clock ticking. Those moments define playoff teams, and Buffalo has to start proving in week 1 that they can convert when it matters most. No more settling for field goals. No more drive-killing penalties. Execution has to be crisp. But here's the X factor, the one thing that's harder to measure. Composure. This game is going to be physical. It's going to get emotional. Primetime season opener, fans screaming, bodies flying, flags being thrown. And this is where Josh Allen has to be the adult in the room. You can't play hero ball in the first quarter. You can't let a bad drive turn into a bad quarter. Stay in it. Stay poised. Trust your defense. Trust your preparation. And trust that the game will eventually present opportunities to take over. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In what could be the most shocking NFL offseason move in recent memory, the Buffalo Bills have reportedly made a jaw-dropping bid for Detroit Lions star wide receiver, AMON-RA St. Brown. The whispers began circulating late last night, sending shockwaves through social media and sports talk shows across the United States. Bills fans woke up this morning to a flurry of speculation. Could Buffalo actually pull off one of the league's boldest acquisitions in decades? AMON-RA St. Brown, the German-born sensation, has been a cornerstone of Detroit's offense since his arrival. Known for his incredible route running, hands that seem magnetized to the football, and an uncanny ability to find the end zone in clutch situations, St. Brown has become one of the most reliable young receivers in the league. Analysts have long debated his potential to elevate any team he joins, and now it seems the Bills may be ready to test that theory. Sources close to the situation hint that Buffalo is offering a combination of draft picks and players in exchange for St. Brown, a move that would instantly reshape both franchises. For the Bills, pairing St. Brown with Josh Allen could create one of the most explosive passing attacks in NFL history. Imagine defenses scrambling to cover Allen's arm and St. Brown's unmatched route precision. It's a nightmare scenario for opponents. Meanwhile, Detroit would reportedly gain valuable assets to rebuild around Jared Goff, but the loss of their star receiver would be a gut punch for fans. While no official confirmation has been made, the rumor is fueling heated debates across sports networks and online forums. Some insiders suggest the Lions are hesitant to part ways with St. Brown, knowing he represents the future of the franchise. Others speculate that the lure of Buffalo's playoff window and a high-profile market could tempt the young receiver to consider a move. In any case, the NFL world is buzzing. Could this be the blockbuster trade that defines the offseason, or just another rumor destined to fade by Monday? One thing is certain. If AMON-RA St. Brown suits up in Bills colors, the league will never look the same again. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.